Hey digital hustler, welcome back. In this video, we're going to review how to actually implement the Meta Pixel on your website as well as the event tracking. It's a two-step process, so just keep that in the back of your mind. Again, you want to pull up the Facebook ads launch checklist, have it handy dandy just so you can make sure that you check off everything. So, the first thing we want to do is navigate back to our business manager, right? So, we want to be in business settings. Again, making sure that you're under business.facebook.com/settings. So, navigate back to this page and then you're going to click on data sets. Once you're back in the data set, you can go back to the pixel you created, right? When we created our business manager account setup. So when you click on the pixel, right, click on the pixel that you want to add to your website, and then click on Open in Events Manager. So this is going to bring you to the Events Manager. The Events Manager is really where you control and can manage the pixel code and the event tracking that is going on your website. This is important, again, because we want to make sure that we're able to improve our campaigns based on people that actually add to cart, make purchases, and or fill out our contact form, subscription, etc. So the first thing we want to do is scroll down, and then you're gonna click on the Setup Meta Pixel. So here you're gonna have two options. It's gonna ask you manually add pixel code to the website or use a partner integration. So most likely your website is going to integrate with Meta. That's one amazing thing about Meta is that it integrates really well with other websites. So if you're using HubSpot, if you're using most likely Wix or Squarespace or Shopify and WordPress, those are usually like the top 4 websites. They make it really easy for you to integrate. So if you were to click Shopify, for example, it'll give you exact instructions on how to add it in your Shopify account. You can click See Instructions to get a little bit more information, and it does that for every single website. And then it tells you exactly how to connect your Shopify account as well as your pixel. So there's going to be a section in Shopify or Squarespace where you're able to place that pixel ID. And then once you make the connection, right, whether it's Squarespace, Shopify, WordPress, etc., you would select I've completed the setup on Shopify, assuming that you have. And then this is where you verify that your pixel is working correctly. So it makes it really easy to know, hey, did I put in the right ID or not? Now here it says no activity yet, which is correct, right? Because I didn't actually put the pixel anywhere. I already have a pixel on my website. But had I had I implemented this on the website, what you are looking for is to make sure that there's activity here. So this would show up green, and then you click next step and you confirm, and you'll be able to know that your pixel is working properly once you see like page view activity on it. If your pixel says your data set hasn't received any activity, that means that it is not, either one, you didn't do it correctly, or two, it's just not receiving activity yet from the website. Maybe no one's been on the website yet, and it can take up to 30 minutes. So if it doesn't render, give yourself about like 30 minutes and then go back and check to make sure that you have set up the pixel correctly on the website. Once you have set it up correctly, again, you'll be able to see the activity populate here, right? So we're in the same, I'm just clicking back to my own event, but you'll be able to see events, and then you'll be able to see event activity here. So this is step one. Remember when I said there's 2 steps to actually implementing the tracking with the pixel? The first step is making sure that you have this on your website, right, through the partner integrations, or doing it manually. And then the second step is making sure that you add the event tracking. I do want to go back to my example pixel really quick, and just show you where you can set up your pixel manually. So if you didn't want to go through it with setting it up, through Shopify or WordPress, maybe you're having issues and you're not seeing that green little light besides your pixel, you can also choose to install it manually. And when you set it up manually, let me go back here, it'll give you the code. So this is the code that you would then go on your website back end and implement. Copy code, and I'm just going to show you my WordPress backend really quick, just to give you also an example of kind of like a manual setup. So I have a plugin that's called Code Snippets, and the instructions again tell you all this, but this makes it easier, and all I have to do is copy and paste the pixel in here. And then once again, I save my changes. This is a manual setup. I would go back to my advanced manager and just confirm that it's tracking properly. So that's the manual setup. So for this sandbox pixel, I had chosen Shopify, right? So the nice thing about it is you can continue your setup this way, and again, verify connections and all that. You also want to make sure that if it gives you any options to select enhance or maximum level sharing on Shopify, just anything that you can share data wise with Meta, select allow or yes, so that way you can track as much data as possible. And in the end, that just helps Meta be able to show your ads to the right people. So once you've set up and you can see that, hey, my pixel is implemented, you can also double check to make sure via the test event pixel. So what I want to show you, and I'm going to go back to my own pixel, is so you navigate to test event and then select confirm your website's events are set up correctly. And then here you're going to want to put in your website, and then click on open website. And then it's going to bring you to your website. So you'll want to, you can download Pixel Helper, and then I can see 9857 is the pixel that's showing up, which is great because that's the pixel in question. And then also you'll see that a page view is processed, and that's how you can also double check that, hey, my pixel is receiving activity, so I connected it correctly. Now, I would say 90% of the time, the event tracking rate, so the pixel is one thing, and then these events are what you see down here. There are a bunch of different events that you can track, such as add to cart, purchases, people leads, right? If people are booking calls and things like that. If you are using an e-commerce platform and you wait, assuming that you're already receiving sales and you have integrated your pixel correctly, you should also start seeing purchases, add to carts, and all of those different events down here. I hope that makes sense. These should appear down here. So just to show you also a list of standard events that may appear. So this is in the document as well, but there's add to carts. There is a lot of different ones, but I'm showing you the ones that matter. Initiate checkout that you should see under your events manager. You should, if you're a service business, you should see leads as well as purchases. Now, these are the coding that if for whatever reason you're not seeing those standard events come through under your events manager here, this is where you would need to add the events manually. Okay, you may not need to do that. I just want to re-emphasize. But if you need to, you would go to add events. You would do add new integration. Okay, click Metapixel once again. And go to your event setup tool, because right now we're in step 2. We want to set up events. So add events using the setup tool. So this is like the wizard that lets you add standard events and parameters without having to go on the back end of your website. If you're not comfortable on the back end, or your integrations are not working and you're not seeing add to carts, initiate checkout, purchases, leads, you can set this up manually. And you can also set this up using code. And this will bring you here where I was at, and it'll give you further instructions on how to add all of that good stuff on the back end of the website. But I don't know about you. I'm not trying to do all that. That's very complicated. So let's open the event setup tool. You're going to put in your website and then open events. And this is where you would go ahead and track your standard events. Again, you may not need to do this because with a lot of websites like Shopify, Squarespace, Wix, if you're already getting sales, right? That is, and then you integrated your pixel already, it's just going to automatically populate for you and add that event tracking in your event manager. Especially once you go through those setup steps that I showed you earlier. If that's not the case, I would wait like 24 hours, 48 hours, depending on how often you get sales on your website. If that's not the case and you don't see those events in your event manager, that's when you would use the setup tool. So the way that you would use the setup wizard here is you click on track new button. Now, I've already tracked the book strategy called as a lead, but let's say, what's something that I could, okay, so we'll click on this one. So this one brings them to my newsletter subscription, right? So you want to select the event that makes sense. So for subscribing to the newsletter, I would hit subscribe. And then I can confirm. I would hit confirm. And now every time someone goes to that link and subscribes to my newsletter, I'm able to go ahead and track them. Something else I want to note is if you're using any other platform, 99% of them integrate with the Facebook Pixel, and they have a section where you can integrate it, and that'll enable you to track all the data across all of your different platforms. So for example, I use MailChimp, so I use my Pixel ID in there. I use Acuity, I use my Pixel ID in there, and that enables me to track additional data points when I'm running campaigns. So it's just, again, all these platforms work really well together. And so I would add the Pixel anywhere that you have the opportunity to. So once you're able to track the different buttons, let's say you have an e-commerce website, it'll also enable you, right, to add different standard events, including, and these are the ones that you want to add. Everything else is kind of like not important. You want to add to cart. So when all the places on your website that have add to cart buttons, you want to track the initiate checkout. So that's when someone is initiating a checkout. And then the final payment page. So you want to make sure that you're tracking purchases. And you can do a, a mock purchase to make sure that you're tracking all that properly. Once you're done, you're going to hit finish setup, and it's going to bring you back to your events manager. Oops, I didn't mean to say that. Once you're done, this is where you would check to make sure that you're receiving the events that you tracked, right? So in our case, we want to make sure, like I said, add to carts, purchases, as well as initiate checkout or leads, subscribe. Anything that's important to your business is what you want to track under events. So hope that wasn't too confusing. Most likely, you're not going to have to do any of this manual setup. Most likely, what's going to happen is you'll be able to just link all of your Pixel, right, to your website backend, and it'll automatically add the correct event tracking as well. Once the Pixel is live, you're able to see fun activity here, so you know it's working. You're also able to see what websites are receiving the event. So if you have multiple domains, you can use that same Pixel code across the different platforms, like I was saying. The more data you give Meta, the better. All right, see you in the next video.